What up, everybody? It's Cam, host of Get a Load of This Trucking podcast, founder and owner of Valley Trucking Insurance. And as always, I am excited to be here. Coming into the new year, 2023 is going to shake out to be exciting, but I think scary, and there's a lot of unknown. But one of the big challenges that truck companies face, and I hear about constantly from my clients and friends and peers in the industry, is truck drivers, hiring drivers, finding drivers, managing drivers, culture. What happens in like the event of a DOT audit? What am I supposed to have in the files? Like, there's so many things that I hear about that it's like, man, it's enough to pull your hair out. And as a entrepreneur and a small business owner, as most of you are, 90% of you are going to have 6 or less trucks. How many hats are you wearing? It's hat, it's hat, it's hat. Taking one off, putting one on, taking one off, putting one on. And, it's actually funny. I got a business owner buddy of mine that has a bunch of hats that have different titles. So if one of the employees comes in, he's like, looks, puts on a different hat, says boss, friend, mentor, accountant, whatever else they're doing on the day to day. And what that person doesn't have or should have on that hat is time, right? How do I get my time back? What's most valuable? The old adage, time is money. We've all heard it. And so that's this episode. I wanted to bring some value. I partnered up with this group of people and this company that I think is just making waves in the industry. It is solving a giant problem that everybody's facing. And whether you want to admit it or not, it is something that you can use relief on and help at a fraction of the cost than hiring someone to take it over internally. So, even big organizations hire it though. Like, you'd be amazed, just because they have a lot of trucks, they might not have the people or the capacity or the manpower or the knowledge or know-how. There's things to deal with when you're talking compliance. FMCSA just released, as I mentioned on the last podcast, the new rates filed for penalties if you fall out of compliance for certain things. They didn't go down, they only went up. So, profit's a big deal. All these things are a big deal. With that, though, welcome to the podcast. I want to introduce my friend and now partner in a new company, which I'll let him talk about and explain, John Stanley. John, what up, buddy?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Oh, I am so good. I'm pumped that you're here. I appreciate you taking the time to hop in and join me.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited to talk about the stuff that we're doing and some of the changes we're making in the industry to ease the pain and the hardship that a new company owner in the trucking industry or even a longtime company owner in the industry has been faced with. Regulation isn't going to get any easier, and it's not going to get any lighter. And so we're excited to help be a solution to that.
I think, yeah, and like for people that have listened to past episodes, you guys might recognize John. John has a pedigree and a resume surrounding truck transportation. His experience lies in that. His education, as far as like different capacities surrounding trucking, are there. So the let's back up, give a little bit of a resume, and then the new company and the new idea. The name is Ultralus, which I think is an awesome name. So everybody remember Ultralus. We'll get back to that in a sec. But John, tell us about your past a little bit. Let's catch people up to speed on what you've done, where you've been, what you bring to the industry, and your passion for trucking.
Yeah, so I started out as a driver in the industry, and wasn't a driver for very long. I drove for 5 years, and really early on in my career as a driver, I witnessed a horrific accident. I watched a truck go head on through a motorhome, and and it really shaped who I wanted to be in the industry. From that point forward, I knew that I had to make a change. I had to do something or drive something to improve our roadways, improve our management, improve how we engage with drivers to ensure that nobody else had to pass away. Like I watched that family pass away that night, and um, with that, I set out on becoming a manager in the industry, and so I achieved that pretty quickly, and had some influence over a group of drivers, and then slowly moved into safety with that same company, and then got bored with safety because I kind of mastered it, wanted to learn more in the industry of how we could influence managers and what influenced the decision makers in the industry. So I went into being a director of transportation and learned the business side of trucking. And um, and then I was approached by insurance, and insurance company hired me to handle their risk management for a territory. And then I got really excited when I did the insurance, because I'm like, now I can guide and direct and influence multiple companies, not just one. And so I managed about 90, it was about 97 at one point, companies with their risk management through the insurance. And got to the point where I was just writing recommendation letters and watching people struggle. So I set out to not only, be a source of expertise for these customers, and a source of influence, but somebody that could help fill in the gap and help become their capacity. So I ventured out from insurance and started a consulting business. I was on this podcast to talk about that, Synergy Solutions. And then um, as we developed Synergy Solutions, we just kept finding needs and areas that people needed capacity filled for them. And so many people that lost a safety manager or a safety coordinator, or the trainer left, and they were just left with these holes in their programs. So um, we're filling those needs with various services that we've developed. And Ultralus is by far the most exciting service that I think we've helped develop and been part of. And I'm super excited to get this out into the market and show the world that compliance and DOT is an easy thing to navigate if you have the right people in your corner.
Absolutely. And yeah, I commend you on the background, man. That's quite the diverse background and involvement in the transportation and trucking industry. And I think it's one of those things, too, that like, drivers don't want to listen to safety people because it's like the safety people have no idea what I go through as a driver, right? That's kind of the thought process. But coming as and from a background driving out to the other side, but then talking to drivers as drivers and be like, I've been there, I've done what you've done. I understand you don't want to do this or don't want to do that, but here's why. And here's like a big picture of what it actually does. You can talk to them on their level. And I think that's so instrumental in trying to get a message across and trying to educate and trying to motivate people. And I think that's where the owner that's wearing all those hats, they were a driver too, most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. And it's not that they lose touch because they haven't, but they don't have the time to spend boots on the ground day in and day out training wise, all these things, because while they're doing that, all of a sudden they have an issue with the load. All of a sudden there's an accident. All of a sudden they need to do this. They need to sign checks. They need to do year end. They need to do taxes. They need it right. There's all these things. So I think that is a huge value add with you coming in. And we'll get into like the translation of time is money and the cost and like how heavily discounted this is in terms of actually replacing a manager to oversee drivers and compliance and hiring and some of that stuff. And you'll really start to see some of that value. Let's talk about Ultralus. From a concept to like simple terms, let's say, hey, let's explain what Ultralus is as a company, and let's talk about what they do for truck companies and the owners specifically.
Yeah. So I want to start off with talking about how we came up with the name Ultralis first, because I think
Let's hear it.
there's some power behind that. So we wanted something that would stand out, that we're above and beyond just your typical company out there. And as we dive into these services and talk about it, I think you'll realize that we're not just like everybody else out there doing the compliance. So when you look up ultra and salus, which are Latin words, ultra means beyond, and salus means safety. And so in Latin, and so we took Ultralis or Ultra Salus and smashed it together And that's how we came up with Ultralus, because we are beyond safety, and we're way beyond the perception of what safety and compliance is in the industry. And so, with that in mind, being beyond safety, Ultralus is is almost your one stop spot for covering driver qualification files, covering all the requirements and the documentation that's required to ensure that you're qualifying your drivers to be on the roadway. And we know in the industry, that's the first thing the plaintiff attorney pulls is driver qualification files. Did you qualify them to be behind the wheel of your vehicles? Um, we also establish policies and procedures, written and documented driver handbook. So your driver knows the expectations of their qualification. What do you require them to be on the roadway and to be before they come working for you? Most companies that are, under 20 trucks don't have a driver handbook. They don't have policies. They don't have written policies that they follow. So creating those is paramount to creating structure when hiring, and then providing the drug and alcohol consortium, where you can get your drug and alcohol testing done, and be compliant with that drug and alcohol testing. I run into so many companies out there that think they're in the right program and they're not, and nobody's guided them or directed them on where to be, how to be 100% compliant with the clearinghouse with your testing, and then they learn, usually 11 months into their 12-month year, and doing all their testing on the final the final minute. So, and how to navigate SAP and all those complicated portions of the regulation, and then providing them with accident tracking and accident documentation processes through an actual accident app that would be on their driver's phone. So we can gather as much information, so you're DOT compliant with your accident register, but then we can go above and beyond and identify trends within your accident behaviors, to help you mitigate anything that would cost an accident in the future. Um, and then providing recurrent driver training. And I think this one's a huge one, where you get engaged training that doesn't require you to manage an LMS system, doesn't require you to to go on and push the training to your drivers. This is done automatically through our partnership with Driver Education Network, and we've negotiated and procured these services that will help guide and direct and drive your drivers to be the driver you expect them to be on the roadway. Um, so really, it's one spot for everything compliance related, and it's fully managed for our customers. So our customers literally do not have to manage any of these processes or steps. It's 100% managed by Ultralus.
It sounds like beyond safety to me, man. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
it
And,
is.
that was a huge appeal for me and, the podcast. One, I want to support people making waves and changing the industry and that are truly an asset to the community. But two, from a Valley Trucking standpoint and my clients, when I'm partnering with Ultralus, it's because it's more than just that. And like you had alluded to and had mentioned, it's more than just safety and compliance, right? It's more of a co-op. It's more of a community, and it is always changing and adding and improving. So not only do you get the driver hiring, the CDL, the DQ files, the maintenance, the handbooks, now all of a sudden it's like, hey, I have access to ongoing driver training that is current with the times. It's a push notification to the driver's phone. They get certificates of completion, and you can monitor that. That now qualifies as driver training and ongoing training. All these things will help you in the eyes of insurance, FMCSA, your company, to be defendable in a lawsuit. Like, the list goes on. And profitability, guys, let's be real. And drivers are looking for guidance, coaching, training, culture. Like, they want those things, right? Even the guys that say they don't, or kind of buck the trends and stuff, they need structure. They want it. That's why they're there. And so that's a huge benefit to me. the one that you touched on, which I think is also huge, is the accident kit, right? Being able to report that is also a bolt-on function of Ultralus. So let's talk about that for a second, because that is what a safety manager's job would be, is like coordinating all these trucks, that hiring, like PSP and all these things, pre-employment screening and stuff. you know how does one do all that, right? How much does it cost you to have a safety manager that's going to, let's say, sit over 6 trucks, 7 trucks, 10 trucks? I don't know, but I'm guessing it's 60, 70, 80K. I mean, I'm not sure. So now you're
Depends.
getting, it depends, right? And it could
Yeah.
be more, it could, it depends. But now you're getting all these services managed for you, managed for the driver or the company owner, where you just get the dashboard feedback and like control, but it's being implemented for you on all these different fronts. So the accident reporting, let's chat about that for a sec, because I know that that's an additional feature from a partner.
Yeah, so we went out and we teamed up with a group named Ready Response, and so Ready Response is by far one of the coolest accident investigation companies I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And what they do over at Ready Response is they have a network of investigators that will actually go out on site and investigate accidents if they're large accidents. They scrub social media and they find potential witnesses through the social media platforms. So we know we live in a world where if there's an accident, somebody's posting it on Facebook, if not a million people posting it on Facebook. So his company is designed to go scrub all that and then send out investigators. And so when I came across Kevin McLean in Ready Response, he had this application that he used for calling out investigators, and I just said, look, that's exactly what we could use to gather information for accidents. And so we teamed up and worked together and built an accident kit that he's uh, partnered with Ultralus to provide to our customers. And um, this kit is easy to use. They simply hit a button that I've been in an accident, pulls up a report. It requires drivers to take pictures. They document everything in there. That report then gets sent to Ultralus and to whoever the company wants to be informed, and we get notified immediately of an accident. At that point, we can take a look at those reports and say, hey, this is a larger issue than what we think it could be, or it could be a big accident that's going to explode and cost us a ton of money. So then Ultralus has actually gone out and negotiated a special rate for Ultralus customers that we can call out an investigator to that scene and have them investigate it a, for for a really nominal fee. But the accident kit is part of our services. It's all rolled into the same package, and it's a game changer. I mean, when you look at the accidents that we're having in these smaller companies who don't have the infrastructure or don't have the people to gather information, we're getting little bits of information, and then we're trying to figure out, well, why did this go to court? Why did my insurance not back me up the way they I needed them to? How come this fell through the cracks? Now I got this massive claim, and it's because we didn't do a good job gathering information, because we don't have the capacity to gather the information. And chances are you're not going to see that driver in your terminal. If you have a terminal, most of these guys that are 20 and under are probably still working out of their home. um, and that's been a huge problem and a huge gap in the industry of not getting good documented accident information, so we can protect them, we can get the insurance involved promptly. And this system has the capability, if this company wanted all accidents reported to their insurance broker, it could go directly to their insurance broker automatically. So as soon as that driver hits submit, it would notify their insurance broker or their insurance agent, and they could be involved helping them and guiding them and getting them taken care of on the claim side. So there's a lot of cool automation stuff that we can build specific to each company in the back end.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. I mean, um, some might think it's fluff or it's like, oh, okay, that's cute or whatever. But I mean, the impact that that potentially could have on, diminishing evidence at the scene or, preserving of evidence and pictures and cameras and being able to pull that to become defendable. I think the simple act of just signing on with Ultralus, getting to that standard, having written process and procedures, a hiring guideline, pre-employment screening, you know, your files are going to be buttoned up and secure in the event of an audit. You're now getting reported and alerted to accidents. Something we didn't touch on is, but there's like MVR reporting. So if an alert comes through from a driver that, hey, they just had this ticket, that's something the owner needs to know about. And not all the time do they find out until they call me at insurance renewal and are like, why did my rate go up? What happened? And it's like, well, your driver force deteriorated. They had a negligence or they had a cell phone ticket. And I know a lot of these trucking companies have a zero tolerance for hands-free device violations, seatbelt violations, drug and alcohol. I mean, so it's just making sure you have those checks and balances in place to make sure you can hold everybody accountable to the standards that you're setting as a company culture, and the reporting instantly to be able to be notified on the insurance side, tremendous, right? Because it's like first one in to the scene. I don't want to say narrates it, but they're not going to get manipulated from an attorney. Or if the other party is to punch first and they're able to kind of narrate the terms of what happened, it might not be factual, but now we can't go back and dispute it because all the evidence is gone. That leaves open to larger lawsuits. And like to your point, um, just because you're operating at an FMCSA standard does not protect you to be best in class or defendable in court. Like in reality, you should be driving and pushing to be better than. You should be above what the standard is. The standard is a minimum bar, right? If you're trying to operate at a high level and you want, the best of the best and you want a company culture that attracts and promotes growth and like drivers are wanting to come work for you and you're able to then manage it because you're not wearing all these hats and running around with your hair on fire. That's better for you guys. It prevents and reduces driver turnover, improves retention, improves profitability, improves communication. Trained drivers are better drivers. They're going to get from point A to point B more frequently. Not to mention, and you didn't talk about what happens if they go through an audit.
Right,
Right.
right,
And I think like the big pain points that are not talked about, and like maybe they've dealt with, like, yeah, we got an entry audit. Okay, great. Right. Like, and you help, and I know you had tons of experience setting up for that. But what's worse and a lot more painful is if you have an audit with problems, not
right,
an entry audit, but like a legit audit. And it's like, who's there to help you? Well, in
right.
this case, we are right. Ultralus is going
Yeah.
to come, and there's additional services you can contract and pay for, and like, but if it's like, just the basic things, like, so what do you do in an audit, John, for with Ultralus?
So the audit support, we'll provide document upload. So when you do a new entrant audit or any audit, the first thing they do is they ask for, I need all these documents, I need all these things uploaded up into the system. So if it's driver qualification file related, if it's drug and alcohol related, we'll go and upload that into your system for you. We'll upload it in the SMS portal, and help manage that, um, and your accident register, everything that's related to the services that we provide. So, um, and then we, if you're like, look, I need additional on-site audit support, we have services that will help provide additional on-site support. But the big thing that we're seeing with our customers, when we develop good policies and procedures, we develop good driver qualification files, and we develop good accident handling procedures, and we develop all these processes, a good drug and alcohol program, MVR monitoring. That's constant qualification, right? When we develop all those things, getting through a new entrant audit is a breeze. In fact, the customers that we've helped get through those new entrant audits, you're sitting in this room in many cases where you've got multiple DOT officers and they're going through your stuff, and you hear them say, wow, I can't believe you have drug and alcohol clearinghouse. I can't believe you have this. I can't believe you have, policies and procedures. Your DQ files are spot on, and then you're hearing around you, everybody else is getting conditional, violation.
Rated. Yeah.
Like, hey, you need to fix this because I'm going to come back in 3 months, and if you don't have it, then I'm going to give you the real hammer, right? You get that one freebie in the new entrant, and our customers don't experience that. They experience, you've got everything you need, then let's leave you alone and let you go run your trucking company so you can be profitable, right?
Yep.
And so all of a sudden now you're not on the radar. When we go on site for some of the heavier DOT audit stuff, we're seeing that we're helping customers get to a satisfactory rate, or we're helping them, get moved from a conditional to either unrated or to a satisfactory. And so if you're already in trouble with DOT, we're also an option to help you get out of trouble with DOT as well. Um, and so this is
It's like
just
a fast pass at Disneyland. Hey, we're going to take you to the front
right,
of the line. We're going to get you in and get you on that ride quick. Like, you don't have to worry, wait, like question. Cause like these truckers, there's no doubt they can figure this stuff out on their own, right?
right,
There's a giant like list of things they got to correct, and they got to supplement and provide this giant book of actionable items and corrective measures taken and like proof and all this stuff. We got a fast pass to that that's going to be built in, proven, that's going to help you do that, take the guesswork out. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, how much time did I just save and headache and heartache? And like, while you're doing that, that trucking company owner is going back to do what they do really well and run a business, right? And get
right,
back to focusing on what makes them money, not detracts and prevents them from making money. So,
right,
and conditional is a big deal, folks. Like, I can't, a lot of my insurance companies won't even look at you if you have a conditional rating, let alone not a satisfactory rating. I mean, and that translates to, poor performance, increased insurance rates, in this world where things are going up, inflation is hitting everybody, the cost of diesel is going up, all these things. It's like the last thing you want to do is have a snowball effect of, cascading, increasing expenses such as insurance and all these other things, right?
well, and
So,
you'll have a hard time finding loads with the conditional because some
oh,
of these
yep,
brokers aren't gonna, they've got some new systems out there that actually will tell on you where you're at and your scores. And those are the things that we focus on, because if you can't pick up loads, you're going to shut down, right? Obviously. So
yep.
we free up your capacity to find the loads, and then we build that public perception to help you maintain and add loads to your lanes. So I think one of the biggest things that we've recognized in the industry is these guys who are starting up these companies, and that we're starting out small, and we need these companies. They have to be on the roadway because they make up 97% of the industry. 97% of the companies on the roadway right now are 20 trucks or less. There is zero support out there for them right now, and there's a few good groups out there that are providing resources, but it's still them having to manage those resources. There's not a service out there that says, look, let me take this off your plate and let me fully manage it for you. And when I fully manage it for you, that doesn't mean I'm going to give you a platform that you can put your stuff in. I'm actually going to manage it for you.
Yep.
You are going to have your DQ files created and managed by our team at Ultralus. You don't have to touch any of it. You simply send us the driver name, the phone number, a copy of their driver's license. We go and handle the rest. We'll push an application to them. We push everything, and we've partnered with Driver Reach to use Driver Reach's platform in order for us to make this possible. And it's our staff, our people in the back end managing that process, managing that system for you. So we've
And I
gone.
think it's worth being noted too. Local staff, like stateside, they're here, boots on the ground, physically here. You're getting,
Right.
yeah, just worth mentioning. I feel like it
Not
is.
I'm not in a call center overseas,
Yes,
taking
yeah,
in stuff and filtering through it. And it's actual people who have experienced this process, right? I've built DQ files. I have a DQ file at one point in my career, right? I know what goes in them, and I know how hard it is to manage them properly. And then I've been through DOT audits. I've been through depositions. I've been through, you name it. I've been through it, and so has my team, and the partners that we have in this, they've been through it. And so you're not talking to a tech company who specializes in writing software. You're talking to people who have lived in the transportation industry, who understand these pain points. So we know the solutions to remove that stress from your shoulders. And I think that's what separates us from everybody else out there, is you're dealing with somebody who knows this process. They know the manual process of making sure that you're compliant.
The hard work piece of
Yeah.
the process that
Yeah.
requires
And
like sweat and equity and like, hey, we're going to get in there and get it done. It's going to get done. And I think for these truck company owners, like, you company owners are what make America move. And as John mentioned, like the bulk majority of DOTs are less than a fleet. And I don't know. I don't know how much it costs to get someone to manage that, hiring, compliance, audit, all that kind of stuff. But I can tell you that if you had, let's say, 10 trucks, and in this program, I mean, you're less than 10K for the year. And in fact, it's probably a few thousand less than that. How much would it cost somebody to manage 10 trucks in this capacity if you hired them? I mean, let's just say 60K. So, I mean,
right.
it's a big difference. And you don't lose any control. You don't lose anything. It's more profit back in your pocket. But more importantly, to an owner, money only means so much. It's time. Hey, let me spend my time doing something that I find valuable, that really is going to use my expertise, that is going to leverage my value to this company. And it's not organizing DQ files. It's not doing a PSP in the clearinghouse and all that kind of stuff, right? And I know a lot of folks will have a counterpart or a spouse or a child or a kid, like whatever, doing it. It's like, I suppose you can do that, but you could probably allocate them on something else that's more valuable, finding you better loads, being in contact with this, training, whatever the case may be. So to me, like when John and I chatted about this in Ultralus and what it brings to the table, I was a huge advocate. Like, yep, we're gonna be introducing you to our clients and push this out, because I think it's a game changer. I really do. I
Yeah.
think it's one of those things that will put people in a position on the P&L to put more profit, more time, more things back in their pocket, and ultimately it'll reduce costs across the board, because less accidents equate better insurance rates. As John talked about, brokers now have tools. They're looking at, what is your safety score? What is the ratings? What is all this? Hey, I noticed this truck has 60% out of service, or this company has 60% out of service for vehicle maintenance. There's a good chance my load's not getting there, right? I mean, that's the perception. So the trucking companies have a story to tell. Everyone's unique. Everyone has this value proposition, and like, you guys are the story. Trucking companies are the story. It's our job to help you guys tell it in a way that puts you in the best light, to show the true representation of what you are. They're passionate, they're driven, they're motivated. They are there to drive safe and get their the loads from point A to point B when they said they were going to do it. That's what they're there for. So as people scale, and this is a common problem amongst many business owners, is how do you wear the leadership hat, the coaching hat, the accountability hat, and scale when it starts to become a little bit too big, as opposed to 1-2 drivers meeting in the morning, discussing, and off you go. Well, you got more people, and you're still, as John said, probably working out of your home, and they might not all be there at the same time, and this and that, and you meant to get around to talking to XYZ about this accident, but you didn't document it. It's not in the driver file. Also, we did have a huge accident, and these plaintiff attorneys and all this stuff going on with the nuclear verdicts, and like, hey, you're a bad guy in the eyes of the public. You're a nuisance and you're a hazard. And like, we want $20 million because of that, for simply you doing your job and maybe not doing a few steps that you could have prevented all that to secure, to secure your files and your stance to be defendable in court. Right. There's all
Yeah.
these things that it snowballs into, and that's kind of in the weeds. And I understand it's probably not the most exciting stuff to talk about and listen to and like think about as a business owner, because there are a lot of times big picture, and I want to grow and expand and make more money and provide for my families, and I'm in control of my drivers' families, and and all these relationships. So the last thing they want to deal with is this kind of stuff, which is where you guys come in, and that's the value Ultralus brings. And it is beyond safety. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we're uncovering all that. So I
You
think
know,
that it's awesome, John. I really do. What is on the horizon? Because, like, what are we looking at this next year, and what are you excited about?
yeah. So, one of the things that I want to point out is everybody in trucking wants to be that big trucking company, right? Everybody wants to have the program as if you had 1,000 trucks on the roadway. I think that's what we're helping you achieve is become that larger company in your culture and the services that that you provide to your drivers, and the structure and the all the benefits that you create, to run compliant. You typically don't do that because you don't have the funds to do it. It's too expensive to hire in, a safety manager, to hire in all these components that we're talking about. So, um, we've created that solution to make you a large company. You can run like a thousand truck company today without the expense. On the horizon, we are fully focused on becoming, uh, the compliance solution for the industry. We want to take care of compliance for the 97% that's out there, and give them a really good resource that's hands-on, that's personal, that is going to take care of everything compliance related for you, when it comes to DQ files and hiring drivers, and managing your accidents. Long term, we are going to continue to negotiate for added benefits to our customers. So, we've already negotiated, access to cameras as if you had 1,000 trucks in your fleet. So, buying power. We're going to find other partners that can be part of this buying power program, where you can have access to discounted tires, you can have access to maintenance, you can have access to, the accident investigations, like what we already negotiated, access to all these other services that help you keep your business running. But because you're 10 trucks, your rate's much higher than a rate of, say, 1,000 truck companies. So we're out negotiating those rates as we speak, to find other value add, services that you can tap into. And I think that's what we're going to focus on for the next 12 months, is getting you access to other valuable partners that will be part of our family of partners, to continue to help support and sustain, these smaller companies. We have to start making a change. We can no longer accept, uh, mediocrity. We've got to provide a phenomenal service to phenomenal companies that really help keep America moving, and that's what we're fully focused on.
Love it. Change the status quo, man. Raise the bar and give them what they deserve too, right? And like enable
Right.
them. It's all about tools to help you, not like there's so many shiny objects. There really is. I mean, in this world, you got this popping up, that popping up, this ad, so and so calling you, this calling you. Like people heard from me. I called them about insurance, and they're like, "What the heck?" Like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk
Right.
about insurance, but it's like, but it's true though. Like you got to find people in your corner that truly understand, that value you, that respect what you do, but that are there to help guide and consult too, and get you to the end result. Whatever that be for your company. It could be 1,000 trucks. It could be, hey, I'm doing this for to pass down to my kids once we get to 20 trucks, and like this is a lifestyle. Like whatever the case is, it's like making sure we have the right tools and people in our corner. And I know, John, here's what I know, and the people over at Ultralus, they will guide, they will consult, they will talk to you, they will pick up the phone and have a conversation. In some cases, hey, I'm on site in your shop talking to your team, whatever the case may be. And that's what you're going to get, right? And John had mentioned there are tools, there are systems. Hey, I'm going to upload all these documents. It doesn't ever get touched, updated, or anything like that, but they're in here, and I just push a button, and it's like, oh great, what do I do with all this, right?
Right.
Not here, right? It's hands on, it's touched, it's people that know what they're doing. If you need to have a conversation with a true expert and someone that's been through what you've been through, they've got the people. And so I think that's awesome, man. I am so excited about the future of that. the rollout of that. I have no doubt that the benefits are just going to improve. The relationships are going to improve, and like those different, synergy partnerships, let's call them, whether it be equipment or technology vendors or potentially fuel or whatever comes, it's all going to be in the benefit of the truck companies in the majority, right? We're not talking about the 1% and 2% companies here. We're trying to help the majority act like that 1% and 2%. And
Right.
so, kudos, man. Obviously, necessity breeds invention, or like creation of new products and companies. And this was born in the fire. And it's like, we got to make a change. It has to change. Companies that are going out of business, increased costs, all these things that these truck companies are facing, which they're resilient, no doubt. But let's make it a little bit easier. Let's put a little bit money back. Let's give them a little bit more juice and power to keep motivated to keep going on and achieve their dreams, right? All these folks that open truck companies had a dream. They
Yep.
had a mission. They wanted to do this. They wanted to get out from underneath an umbrella, underneath a company, take care of their own destiny, have control over their own lives, or whatever the case may be. Whatever your motivation was, you just need people to help you do it. And most people didn't go to college and get an MBA, or they don't have, finance majors, or whatever the case is. But if you know the right people that can give you the right advice and the right guidance and coaching, that's what you need. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that's what
And not
Ultralus brings, man. I'm stoked for that.
not break the bank doing it, right? And I think that's
No,
that's a big thing is we've built a pricing structure, and I'll just throw it out there for $50 a month per driver. That's nothing.
hold on. Say that again.
$50 a month per driver.
Man, you go to 10 trucks. I'm not good at math. I went to public school, but I think it's like 6K. That's a hell of a lot less than a manager overseeing that. And
Way
that
less.
includes, and I know there's a little bit of upfront cost because of clearinghouse, and you got to
Right.
run MDRs, and you got to set up the files and all that kind of stuff. But man, that you're like giving it away.
Yeah, and it's because we've gone out and we've negotiated with valuable partners to help us with these solutions. And so instead of our customers going out and saying, okay, I need to get training, and they get a training company, and I need a DQ file management system, so they get a DQ file management system, and I need this. We've gone out and said, look, we're we're going to grow this thing, and we're going to add numbers to this community of awesome companies, and we want you to be part of it. And they've agreed, and so they've signed on as our partners, and we've partnered with various solutions to help bring that 1,000 truck price to our customers. So if they were to go out and do this on their own, they would be upwards to $300 a month per driver, easy.
Easy.
So I think I think the intent is to make a great impact on the industry and be a support to these companies, because there's enough out there that's going to kick them to their knees.
Yep.
We provide them with something that's going to give them a little bit more support to stay on their feet.
Let's go. Man, that's awesome,
Absolutely.
John. I think it's stellar. I love the mission. I love what it's going to do. I know the impact that it's going to create and bring, and value that it's going to bring to these. And I say mom and pop loosely, you know what I mean. But let's just say, hey, not the big corporation and 1,000 truck companies. It's your everyday trucking company, your everyday business owner, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call them, guys and gals. Like, we're here to help. Ultralus is here to make a difference for you guys, which is why they made it on the podcast. So, and I was stoked when the opportunity came up to endorse and partner with something that is close to me, and like it's a way I can help give back too, right, and bring value back to the trucking community that's done so much for my family before me. That were actually truck drivers, and then what we do on the day to day, and there's so many benefits to it that I don't want to get into. It'd take a whole nother podcast for insurance costs, ancillary costs, like other things that you're going to see improvement in, that are just and I say unintended actions or activities or results from this, but they're really intended, which is why it's been built, and it's to help you achieve results without maybe specifically focusing on each area. It's just going to build in results for you. And
Yeah.
so awesome. I love it. And man, I'm stoked for this thing to roll out. How do people find you? Where do they go to learn more? what do they do to like maybe have a conversation to see if it's right? Because I know that you've recently signed on a couple fleets and some small companies and some startups, and it's not, let's get that out there too. It's not for brand new companies only. It's not for 2 trucks, 5 trucks, 10 trucks. You can have 200 trucks and be in the same boat of like cost effective wise. I'm going to have this company do that. It makes sense. So
Right.
you can have any amount of trucks in there. Let's get that out of the way. But where do they learn more, John?
Yeah. So if they go to ultralus.com, so
Spell that.
ultralus.com, they can fill out a form on ultralus.com and submit a contact form. And I would say if there's any level of curiosity, if this podcast has piqued your interest and you want to learn more, go and fill out a form. We would love to jump on a phone call with you and talk to you about what we're doing, and answer any questions, any concerns that you might have. There's always a unique situation or a unique thing that goes on in somebody's operation that we more than likely have a solution for, to help you overcome whatever obstacle that might be. So I think that's the best way to get a hold of us. We're on LinkedIn. We'll have a Facebook page. We haven't broken into the Facebook world yet, but we will. And we'll definitely post some of that on our website. But ultralus.com is the best place to get a hold of us.
So ultralus.com.
Yep.
Ultralus.com. And look, I want to help everybody and anybody. So even if you're an insurance broker, insurance company, insurance agent listening to this podcast, cool, kudos. You guys should still head over, check it out. It's really strengthening the trucking community as a whole. And this is not something that should be kept secret or like, hey, like, hey, everyone has access. Talk to these guys. They're phenomenal. They will help your trucking companies regardless of who you are. You could be food supply. You could be construction. You could be anybody that needs CDLs. Like there's so many people that need CDLs. It's not just trucking companies. I know that my podcast and Get a Load of This is geared at trucking and transportation. But look, it's folks that drive professionally, that share the road, that have a professional license. That's
And
what it's
it's
for.
it's
All
it's
of them.
really anybody who drives a commercial motor vehicle. So you may not even have a CDL. You have to have a driver qualification file if you're 10,000 pounds or heavier. So uh, we're fitting that mold. So we're seeing a lot of construction guys and a lot of towing and any industry that has wheels. We've probably got a solution for you to make sure that you're protected.
Love it. No, I absolutely love it. So you guys know where to go. Ultralus.com. Reach out to my guy, John. Get a hold of him. Just have a consultation. You want to have a conversation, see if it's a good fit, see what it can do, see how much time it can get you back, how much money you can save, however you need to make that make sense to you. I really encourage you guys to check it out. And it's not a shiny object. This truly is making a difference. And I'm passionate about endorsing it and partnering with Ultralus and John and those guys. And my clients will hear about it if they haven't already. So, man, I appreciate
Awesome.
your time on the podcast. Is there anything last note you want to share or some parting wisdom you want to share on this?
I think I've said everything that I want to say, other than it's time to rise to the occasion as an industry and start setting the tone of being the knights of the roadway like we used to be in the 70s and the 80s, right? And we've got to build that culture, and that starts with how we develop our culture individually within our companies. So you want a piece of that or taste some of that old culture, please submit a form, get a hold of us. We'll help you develop that.
And I think too, just a quick note on that topic, the new drivers, the younger generation, the
Yeah,
new generation in CDL, they desire that. It might not look the same to them in your eyes of like work ethic and all these things that you're thinking, but they want structure, they want commitment, they want to feel valued, they want to be a part of something that is bigger than themselves. And like when your commitment is to operate that trucking company above just you guys, and a commitment to safety and professionalism and training and accountability and guidance, that's what they're looking for. It's a little tidbit for trucking and hiring and finding drivers, guys. So it all helps. Everything helps. So hey,
absolutely.
we appreciate you joining us, man. Listeners, thank you all for tuning in. If you made it this far, as always, there's a Facebook group, Get a Load of This Trucking Podcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, website, get a load of this podcast.com, or Valley Trucking Insurance is mine. To highlight again, this company is Ultralus.com. Ultralus.com, go check them out, fill out a form, have a conversation, start saving money and get some time back, and then be a better operator. So, all right, thank y'all. We appreciate you guys, everything you do. Have a good one.